Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cornell Cooperative Extension's Consumer Issues Program. I'm Mike Danaher, an Assistant Attorney General with the New York State Attorney General's Office. It's good to have all of you here today. Those of you out in TV land, welcome, and feel free to join us when we have these sessions live, which is the second Thursday of every month at Cornell Cooperative Extension on Willow Avenue. Today's topic, for those of you that are out in TV land, today's topic is right in the middle of the final rush for the holiday season. So a great opportunity to speak about the topic we're talking about today, which is internet safety. I know more and more people each year are turning to the internet to purchase their holiday presents and to send their greetings and to receive greetings from others. And so it really is an appropriate time to speak about it, although it is applicable throughout the entire year. The internet is universally used by almost everyone. I know we'll get a comment here or there from people that say, oh, I never use the internet, or I have limited use of the internet, but it seems like it's more and more that people are becoming more comfortable, and even our senior citizens out there are finding access to the internet either through their own computers or going to places that have computers, and they're able to do things. And it's a wonderful thing. It can take us to wonderful places. It's, in my mind, the largest shopping mall in the world. We hear nowadays that the physical stores, the physical malls have been tending to go down. People are finding new uses for what the huge spaces were that the malls were at. But there's still shopping out there. There's still shopping experiences that people have in actually going to the physical store. But more and more transactions, especially during the holiday season, is taking place over the use of the internet. People are watching movies now, are over the internet, buying books over the internet. You know, it was not too long ago that this phenomenon came out of music going to CDs, where people would get CDs with crystal clear sound that maybe was not available on our old turnstile and records. There might be scratches and things. So it was crystal clear. Well, now we're at that point where we're just haven't even come to use those CDs anymore, because now it's all available on the internet. People are, rather than buying music and downloading it that we used to do onto our iPods and those sorts of things, people are getting away from even doing that now to where music, in addition to video, is streaming over the internet, and people are becoming much more comfortable using it. Education is using the internet all the time. Researching any topic you want to research is available online. I know that I recently stopped teaching at Binghamton University, where I taught forensic accounting. And as a part of our curriculum, I had students prepare research papers at the end of the semester. And I can't tell you how virtually all of them cited authority that was over the internet. Now, it could have been a learned study that was done, but it was acquired by the students rather than going down to that archaic old building on campus called the library. Instead of going down there, they were sitting in their other places where they had internet access on campus. It could be cafes, it could be their room, it could be, and they are getting all of these studies because they can just download those from the source. Communicating with others. We are having contact with people that we might have not have had contact in many years. Social media is affording us that access. As I understand it today, we're actually on Facebook, and we're streaming live on Facebook in addition to taping our program that is available over the internet at Cornell Cooperative Extension of Tompkins County's website. So there's so much more in ways that we can get out information and that we can actually receive information. I laugh sometimes because I'll be talking to my kids who are older, and they'll have done something that I would have never expected them to be able to do. How'd you figure out how to do that? You know, the common response is YouTube. They go on, they look, they find it, they figure out how to do it, and they do something. I had that experience too. I don't often think of that because I'm a dinosaur, but I don't often think of the internet. But now we all have to think, you know, I wonder how you do this. I wonder how long that company's been here. I wonder what the capital city is of some place. And we used to think, wow, man, yeah, I wonder, and maybe we can get that at the library and stuff. The first thing that we can now think of is the internet. We go there, we get answers. I'll have an example. I recently had my car in for service, and frequently I'm seeing that when you take your car in for service, because the business wants to either sell you additional things or stay on top of potential problems that occur later on, they usually come out, I take it in for an oil change, tire rotation, and usually somebody comes out to me and they say, Mr. Danner, we're working on that, and we did our 42-point check on the car, and we noticed that your air filter was going a little bad. And in this particular example, it was my cabin air filter, and that's the air that just gets filtered as it circulates into the cabin or through the cabin. And I'm thinking, what do I really care that much about how the air is in my cabin? And I said, well, how much? And they said, I think the price was like $75. And I said, man, that seems like an awful lot to replace the cabin filter. I said, no, thanks. So just out of curiosity, I said, the internet. And later in the day, I went on to, I think it was YouTube, whatever, and I just put in a search. I actually put the make and model and year of my vehicle and put in changing cabin air filter. Boom! Instantaneously, there was I believe it was a YouTube video that came up that was for exactly my car, 2017, everything. And the guy said, change your cabin air filter in 30 seconds or something like this. So I hit the video, and the guy said, and this is what he did. He had the video, so it showed him doing it, and he said, it was in essence, change your cabin air filter with one hand tied behind your back. He actually changed the cabin air filter for my type of car with one hand in about 30 seconds. And I said, I can save $50 in 30 seconds by just going and get my own cabin air filter and changing it. So the internet is unbelievable. It provides us with all types of stuff. However, we have to take that use and internet with some consumer sense. We're always advocating to be good consumers. There's fundraising that's available online. So we've become so comfortable using this, especially for anyone under 30, are so comfortable with this. We still need to be wary. And those of you who are parents, you need the internet is not the end-all and be-all. There are problems associated with the internet. You can't open the newspaper without reading some type of story about some nefarious use of the internet. More recently, as we're doing this program, there was the sentencing of there was a trial and a conviction, and I believe it was a sentencing of a group of men who were on the internet posing as young teenagers who enticed young girls in certain ways. They groomed them, meaning they brought them under their wing, and the girls thought that they were dealing with teenage boys similar in their age, and they ended up getting these girls to engage over the internet in pornographic behavior and things that once posted, or once having been posted, will always be out there. It ruined these girls in the sense that their self-esteem and all these things. And these men were in, as I understand it, 40s, 50 years old. There was a whole group of them. They were working among themselves to get these videos, recording them, and then dispersing it among themselves, with no one knowing that they weren't who they said they were. So it can be used for bad purposes as well. There are scam sites. There's all kinds of things out there. So it being said that the internet is a great thing, provides us with all types of information and resources, we still have to be very careful while they're out there. There are all types of scams and frauds that are occurring out on the internet. All types of frauds that are occurring. It's the use, frauds out there are the use of the internet, message boards, websites to facilitate fraudulent transactions. And it can be a whole host of different things that are out there. The big one that we really hear about a lot, I think a lot of people have heard about this term before, which is phishing. It's phishing, and it's similar to the fishing in a lake, which is that they go out and try to hook people into becoming victims of their fraud or scam. And phishing typically involves a victim receiving a message, be a message over the internet, email, that sort of thing, that gets sent by someone who they believe they know, whether it's a person that they know individually or it's an organization that apparently has contacted them. There's usually an attachment or links to the message that when you click on those links can lead to the installation of malware, viruses, and other things to your computer, and or directing them to malicious websites. There's many examples out there. I get them all the time. It's just something that rings a bell in my head that says, this just doesn't seem right. And there are ways that people can check. For example, if you get an email and you think, well, it's from my bank. And you say, man, why would my bank be contacting me? Or from Amazon or some other, Microsoft, that you would think, wow, this seems a little strange. One of the things that you can do very easily is take your cursor, take your mouse that in the direction, the cursor that's on the screen, and just have it hover over the either URL address, which is the www address at the top, or from an email that somebody sent to you, and you wave it over the top of that, and you will see that it could be an email that really is coming from you from someone that is not related to this particular company. It may be a strange email. Let's use an example. You get an email from the IRS saying that supposedly you received something and that you have to reply to it. And you wave over that address, and it may turn out to be that it's not have any relation to the IRS website. Also, when it initially comes to you, it may look like it's coming from the IRS, but when you scan your cursor over that, or you could scan a cursor over a link that may have been embedded into the email. Hey, we need to correct a problem with your account. Just click on this link that we have embedded in your email, and it may look like the link is from the IRS or from your bank or from Amazon or something like that. When you float over that email, another address may come up, and it may not have any relation to where it's coming from. Do not click on any links that are embedded in an email unless you specifically know that whoever sent this to you was going to be sending you something and what it's related to. I'll use an example. Yesterday, in the office, we were trying to send out some correspondence to a website. It was a reference to an intern who wanted to go to law school, and we had to post our reference letter. Well, in order to post this letter, we had to get we had to set up an account with the entity that we were sending the email to. So we set up the account. We started to set up the account, and it gave us a note back saying there was already an account opened under the email address that we were sending it from, which told me, well, we must have somehow sent something over this site before, another recommendation of someone. But we had no clue whatsoever of what our password was for that account. So what we did was we sent a request to change our password to that website. So I knew that we would be getting an email shortly that would allow us to change the password. So when we got this email in, and it had a link attached, at least I knew that we would be comfortable in clicking on this email that came to us because we had sent out the request. And I was also comfortable on clicking the link that was embedded in the email because I knew we had requested access to create or change our password. So I didn't have any problem with that. But if something came to me out of the blue, supposedly from this site, saying you need to change your password, red flags would be waving. Sirens would be going off saying, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't ask for anything like this. What you should do if that were the case is contact the sender. Not through a reply email, but look up their email address yourself and contact them directly. Be it your bank, be it a merchant that you've dealt with before, be it your credit card company. Do not click on links in that email that you received or hit reply to that email that you received. What you do is you contact them separately and find out what is up. Why would you have gotten an email like this? And usually, it is not the official place sending you the email. It's usually some type of fraud that's sending it to you. So phishing emails, our office receives them all the time. We're always receiving notices from the head of our IT saying don't open emails that you don't know would be coming to you. What could happen if you did? You could, in clicking on this, you could be downloading malware, or there's a thing called ransomware, which allows somebody to, the ransomware allows somebody to lock you out of your computer and any information available, and you would have to do exactly what the name sounds. You would have to pay somebody a ransom, usually in Bitcoin or some other untraceable currency, in order to get access to your information. Now, it's particularly important for those of you that have business computers, and the business computers are in networks. I've heard stories of hospitals having to actually pay the ransomware fee because somebody downloaded the ransomware and they were able to infiltrate the network and shut it down, and there had to be some other way to get their documents. Another important thing is for people who have computers and have information on your computers, make sure to back your information up. I know in my case, I do a lot of my financial recording on a computer program, and I back the information up every single time I use it, so that if my financial program crashes or my computer crashes, I have an easy way to, all I have to do is reinstall the program and then re-upload the information that I've saved onto a separate source. But with malicious software, it can be ransomware where they can lock you out, they can crash your computer, they can modify or delete files, they can, once they get into your computer, they can take it over and make it part of a network, and the network can be distributing all kinds of malicious software and programs that makes it look like it's coming from your computer. It can steal your information from your computer. If you have financial information, you have passwords on your computer, you have, they can install keyloggers, which can pick up every keystroke that you make. So if you sign on to your bank website, they can get your, by identifying what keys you're hitting, they can get your username and password, and then they can go into that bank website as if they are you and get into your account. So all types of things can happen related to that. How do we protect ourselves? First of all, reputable organizations will never use email to request you to reply with your any type of personal information, passwords, social security numbers, other confidential information that you have. So if you receive something from a reputable organization asking you for those things, you should question it immediately. Be suspicious of any emails that ask you to enter or verify any of your personal information. Do not click on a link to go to any websites that they're asking you to go to verify this information. Never reply to or click links in a message. If you think the message may be legitimate, you can go directly to that company. You might sign on to that company's website even before you were able to log in. That way, at least you know you contacted them to give up that information. If you recognize that the message is a phishing message, you might get a message from Google saying something that asks you for personal information. They will not do that. What you want to do is delete the message from your inbox. If an item goes to your trash folder, make sure to also delete the items that are in your trash folder. If you believe that someone has phished you and may have gotten personal identification information from you, what you want to do is make sure that you scan your computer with the latest virus protection. Make sure you keep your virus protection up to date, and make sure that you update it regularly, so that although you may say, well, I already have virus protection. I bought it 6 months ago and it's there. You have to update that periodically, because the way I set it up, first of all, is I set it so that it automatically updates. But if you don't have it automatically updating, you need to go in and update regularly, because new viruses, malware, all types of things come out all the time. Everybody's trying to stay one step ahead of everybody else. So you want to make sure that you have the most updated virus protection, and that that virus protection then scans your computer to make sure that you have nothing there, and can isolate potential viruses. If you believe that you've been a victim, contact the credit agencies. Check and see, get a copy of your credit report. Check and make sure that you are that you're being watched. Many of you may have been a victim of I think it was the Marriott hotel chain that recently had a problem throughout their entire database. Could be one of the largest ones ever. And they're offering, as a part of their protection, giving all people who were potentially subject to having their data taken free access for a year for identity theft protection. And you can utilize those sorts of things. If you believe that your login on any websites or that your passwords may have been compromised, make sure to change them. Change them to make sure that you're being protected. The internet is being used all the time for all different types of frauds and scams. It's virtually impossible to sit here and go through every particular one that's out there. But some of the ones that occur are you being contacted for I call them get-rich-quick scams, ways that you can get money. It could be work at home. It could be that you've won a prize. It could be that somebody inherited money, but they passed away, and you are the next in line to inherit the money from Nigeria, and they want to send you the money. It can be any different type of thing that comes out there, and what I encourage you to do is to use a common phrase. We've heard it a million times. We sometimes don't even think about it when we hear it, but think about it. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Do you think that you have a long-lost relative in some other country who now wants to send you $23 million to get it out of the country? That just sounds too good to be true. And it is. It's a common scam that's out there. You get a notification that there's a product or service available for you at a price that is just unbelievable. You can't believe how great that price is for that item. Well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. People have become so comfortable using the internet that they're using it for all types of things that really they need to be very careful about using. For example, I know from examples that occurred in the Ithaca area that people are using the internet to rent apartments or to rent their apartments. If you're the property owner trying to rent it to someone, or if you are someone that's looking to come to the internet, into the Ithaca to go to school, maybe you live in another state or another country, and you say, well, I don't have time, and I'm going to be coming there for the next semester, so I got to look and find a place online so that when I get to town, I can rent. I'll have this place to rent. There's been all types of scams where people have posted properties online, offering them for rental, people paying a security deposit, the first month's rent, the last month's rent, to rent this property, and when they show up to town, they find out that the property's not even for rent. Or it's really being offered for sale, but somebody on the internet had taken the pictures and designed their own ad, put it on Craigslist, and all of a sudden received the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and the security deposit, and there's no place to be had, and the person can never be found. Likewise, those wanting to rent their property may put it on Craigslist. All of a sudden, they get a check in the mail for the rent. The check usually is for too much money, and the person will say, well, just deposit the check and send me back the difference. I have this check that somebody owes me money, and rather than have it come to me and then me cash it and then send you the money, I'm just going to have them send it directly to you. The person gets the check. Being honest, they put it in their bank, and within a day or two, they see that their bank account is that much higher. So they take the difference, because they're honest, and wire the money out to the person who was supposedly their new tenant. Come to find out, the check that was deposited was bogus. The homeowner sent out cash in the form of wire transfer. That money is gone, and the check bounced. And the bank then comes back to the homeowner and says, okay, you sent out money. We want the money back because the check you deposited was a bad check. The bank is within their rights to do that. And then the person is out of the money. So that is another particular type of scam that's out there. Our recommendation always is to use reputable sites. Even if you're going to go on and buy something, use a reputable site. Be wary in some respects to references that are included on that website that says, oh, this is the greatest place in the world. I had a wonderful experience. The item I bought came to me straight away. There's no problem. It was great, a great deal. That may be fine, but there have been instances where companies have paid, not reputable companies, have paid people, usually in a foreign country, to write fake reviews. So I still encourage people, look at reviews of businesses, but be careful. Just understand that there's the possibility out there that those reviews might have been made up. There are a couple of things that I can encourage people to do in the use of the internet. If you're buying things on internet, don't use your debit card. You should have a credit card, one credit card, that you just use for internet purchases. Have it a very low credit limit on it, and that you only use those for those purchases. And the reason why I say that is because think about it, how this works. If you use your debit card, what is your debit card? Your debit card is direct access to your bank account. So the transaction, what it actually does is you say, okay, I'll let you, merchant, person on the internet, go into my bank account and take money directly out of it. What that means is if you allow someone or someone gets into your bank account, they take the money, they're taking your money. And you're going to have to fight to get your money put back in. There are some protections associated with it, but that's what the nature of the transaction is. If you use a credit card, a lot of people don't understand this, but a credit card is really a loan. Every time we use our credit card, it's the bank that issues the credit card that is making you a loan. The money is coming from the bank to pay the merchant, not from your bank account. So what happens then is if somebody steals your credit card information and goes in and takes money, they took the bank's money, not your money. And there are ways to challenge that charge and have it ultimately reversed. So I encourage people to use a credit card solely designated for their use on the internet, where they might buy something for $50. Okay, I'm going to use my internet credit card, pay using that. And if there's a problem, your exposure is limited and you're not fighting to get your money back. So use the credit card. Second of all, keep records of all transactions that you made on the internet. Who did you buy it from? What website were you at when you got it from? What was the confirmation number of where it was? Another thing is, does the merchant have a physical location? It just happens that all merchants nowadays have websites. because there's so much internet transaction going on. But a lot of them have a physical location. Do they have one? Do you know where it is? Is it able to be accessed? Is there someone you can contact if something should happen? Keep copies of any personal documents or anything. The receipt that you get for the purchase, keep. Avoid any arrangements with people that you are unfamiliar with who want upfront money to pay for the transaction. Don't agree to transfer some money to a third party besides the person that you're in or the business that you're being engaged in. See if they have a contact information. Do some research on how to use it. Another problem on the internet that comes up, people should be aware of, we get calls about it all the time in the Attorney General's office, and that is tech support scams, where you get contacted that says, oh, there's a problem with your computer. We're from Microsoft. We're from Google. We're from wherever. There's a problem. We're from Dell. There's a problem with your computer. We've identified a problem with your computer. You need to contact us. Click on this link, or they call you on the phone and say, go to your computer and look at your computer because there's a problem with it and it's terrible and you need to get it straightened out right away, and we can do that for you. Do not fall for it. Microsoft, Dell, Google, they're not watching your computer. Think about how many computers are out there. Millions and millions and millions of computers. You think that Microsoft is watching your computer and the use of your computer. They got better things to do. They are not watching you. So if somebody contacts you, whether they contact you by email, whether they contact you by telephone and say there's a problem that we've identified with your computer and you have to, get it straightened out now, it is a scam. My recommendation, if you have a problem that you have identified with your computer, take your computer to a local computer repair service who will look and identify whether or not you have a problem and be able to correct it. Do not click on links that are in the email that identifies that there's a problem. Don't respond to that email. Stop right away. If you do engage with these people, they've been known to get access to your computer, take over your computer, and either download viruses and malware, or actually take over your computer and have it participate as part of a bot network, a network of computers that are sending out fraudulent information. Here are some warning signs. They called you to tell you you have a problem. It's one of the biggest tip-offs of scam. They do not contact you to tell you you have a problem. You would be contacting them when a problem occurred with your computer. Second, the caller ID says, say it's a telephone call, says that it's Microsoft or tech support or something similar that may appear to be legitimate. The caller ID is a very, very valuable tool. We use it all the time to not answer our telephone at home. But that caller ID, either the number or the identification that shows up, can be spoofed. In other words, it's very easy nowadays to make what comes up on your screen for caller ID something that it is not. It may look like it's legitimate, and it is not. So be very careful about what comes up on your caller ID. The warning sign may be that the notice is claiming that your computer is sending off viruses, sending out spamware or something like that. That is a scam. It doesn't happen that way. Sometimes when a person calls you, they're going to say, oh, we need you to go to your computer and log on to your computer, and we can tell you that there's a problem. And they will have you, because we're not sophisticated computer-wise, they will tell you, they'll send you to something like, there's different things within the computer. Like one's a Windows event log, where it's a log of on your computer that technically shows that there are problems. Well, that log identifies all problems, big ones and little ones. All of us have some little problem one way or the other at some point in time. And they will say, oh, look at all those problems that are listed on your log. This is why you have a big problem. You need to allow us to be able to fix that for you. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. They may ask you to go onto a particular website and install something to fix your computer remotely. Don't fall for it. What you're doing is giving them access to your computer. If the company calls you and tells you that you have a problem or anything like that, do not engage with them. Take your computer. First of all, unless you figure out you have a problem, there's a good chance you don't have a problem. But you could, if you have your computer virus protection and malware up to date, you have the latest updates for the internet browser you use. It could be Internet Explorer, it could be Mozilla, it could be Chrome, any one of these ones that you normally click on to get access to the internet. Make sure you use their most updated protection. If you do, it's unlikely that you're going to have this big problem that somebody says that you have. And therefore, you won't fall victim to that particular types of scam. There's also something that we need to be aware of, because we can fall victim to this unknowingly ourselves. And it's a term that I hadn't heard of until relatively recently, and it's called typo squatting. Typo squatting, what would that be? That it means that there are people and entities out there who have acquired rights to certain website addresses that look very similar to real websites, like Google spelled with 2 G's at the beginning, G-G-O-O, or Amazon without an A, or something like that is really close. That if you're typing and you don't pay attention to what you're typing, and if you're like me, the world's worst typist, I type fast, but then I have to go back over it because I make typos all the time. If you type in the wrong thing, a website could come up that looks like it's Google, or looks like that it's Amazon, or looks like any other of the common ones that are out there, when in fact it is not. And you type in information, could be personal information, in this particular website, you may be giving out personal information to someone that you never intended for it to go to. So spelling errors could lead to this problem where you go up to the URL address, type in www.whatever, the site that you want to go to, and that you misspell something. But that typo, like Citibank.com. Hey, we all know Citibank, but you spell it C-T-I-B-A-N-K because you forgot the I, you were going so fast. And it could kick you out to a different type of website, something similar to Facebook or any of Pinterest or any of the other ones. So be very careful about how you sell it, because how you type in things, because at best it can be an annoyance. You go, wait a second, this doesn't look like what I was supposed to be going to, and you realize that you typed something wrong. But at worst, it may be a malicious site that you end up at, and it's pretty prevalent. I saw a study that experts have estimated that nearly 80% of mistyped URLs. So 80% of the time, if you mistype something in the URL line, which is the line where you type in www dot to go to a website, 80% will end up on a typo squatting site. Somebody that has acquired that site for their own use. Now, it might be not a problem. It might be somebody trying to exploit the mistake and say, it says, you know, maybe it's somebody that will actually be able to sell you something, but they want to be the seller. They don't want the seller to be the merchant. Maybe it's Target.com that they did a deviation from Target, but it's close. But they sell merchandise on it. One, it could be fraudulent merchandise, so you end up buying something that you never get. Or two, even if it's a legitimate site who's just piggybacking on the familiarity with Target, it's still not the site that you intended to go to. So be very careful. 80% of mistypes URL will actually kick you out into another site. So you need to be very careful. It's not always bad, but it usually is. One other thing when we're using the website, if you are going to go to a website and you are asked to give personal identification information, which would be a site you go to purchase something, anything. You go to a site, you want to buy something, you click on it. I just bought something the other day. Click on it. Before you enter any personal information for checkout, let's say, you have to put in your name, the address, your credit card number because you're purchasing. Before you put in anything, look up at the URL line, and there should be, before you type in anything, it should say HTTPS. That's always I refer to it as a prefix to what you're entering. Make sure the website that you are on, where you're going to start to enter your information, that it starts with the letters HTTPS, not HTTP. The reason for that is the S stands for the secured site. And if it's a secured site, that means the data you are entering, your name, your address, your social security number, your credit card number, everything you're adding is encrypted so that when you hit send, the information is being sent out on the World Wide Web to the merchant in encrypted form. So if anyone were to intercept that through cyberspace as it's channeling through, the information is encrypted, and therefore they will not be able to read what the personal data is that you put forth on it. It's encrypted all the way to the receiver gets it, and it gets unencrypted to where they can see your name, address, your credit card number. If you send out personal information over the internet where it is a prefix of HTTP, and then it's colon, backslash, backslash. That means the information is not encrypted, and that anybody that may intercept that would be able to read the information that you put on it. The other thing it could be is up on that line as well, there could be this lock, which looks like a padlock. And if the lock is open, that means it is not encrypted, not secure. If it's locked, it is secure. So make sure that you do that. Again, update all of your internet browser when it comes across that there's an update available. Update it. When your virus protection says, hey, update it so that it has the latest and greatest protection for you. Last but not least, I'd like to talk about an issue that makes us the most vulnerable through our use of the internet, and that is simply passwords. Passwords provide the golden key for access to many things out there. I know that it drives us crazy because we have different passwords and everything. There are certain rules of thumb that I ask you to follow when you use the internet and your passwords. One is, don't use the same password for multiple access to different websites. Use a different password. I know that many times that falls on deaf ears, and I will say that most likely senior citizens fall in this category, where they don't want to remember all these different passwords, so they just keep using the same one for all the websites they go to. You have to use a different password because it is the golden key. If someone gets a hold of that password and you use it for multiple things, they will have access to those multiple things. At the very least, use a separate password for any financial account that you have, whether it's for your credit card or access to your bank account or other financially related matters. Make sure you use a separate password, because if you don't and someone gets a hold of it and use the same password for your Amazon account, your bank account, and other credit card accounts, they can get to every single one. So you have to use different ones. No matter how difficult it is to memorize and have different passwords, make sure you do. Also, the passwords themselves. We have to do a better job of creating passwords that are much more protective of our personal information. I have an article from the newspaper here that said that some of the best things you can do are, one, make your password long. The longer it is, the more protective it is. Use combination of letters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, and symbols such as exclamation points or the ampersand, which is the A with the circle around it, star, any of the different symbols that are there. Also, don't use words that are able to be seen in a dictionary. Make things up. Jumble up letters, words, numbers, capitals, and symbols. The more you can do it and the longer it is, the more protected you are. And I know the more jumbled up it is, the harder it is to remember. But that also is the reason why it works so well. Some places that I have heard are now to assist in helping us remember passwords. They are advocating that you not use a word, but that you make up a phrase. That you make up a phrase, and by virtue of that, you're going to have uppercase, lowercase, spaces. And if it's not, don't use a common phrase like a quote from a book, because there are things out there that are called password crackers, which are programs that can run through an entire dictionary to figure out people's passwords. So you don't want to use common words, common phrases. Think up your own phrase. To make it even better, as a part of that phrase, change the S's to a $sign. Change the ones that you might use to exclamation points, or the L's to exclamation points. There can be change the A's to ampersand, so you can still have that phrase in your head, but you can change it around somewhat so that you can have a more robust password. Change the phrase to backwards. Do certain things. The stronger the password you have, the better. Because once someone gets your password, that is usually the link to how somebody invaded computers invaded your network at work, something like that is what is going to be that hole that allows somebody to enter that creates large data breaches in the end. So never reuse your password. Also change your password frequently. I know how difficult it is. My computer program and access online for my office, either through my office and also access remote, I have to change my password periodically, which is a pain. I just remembered the one that I changed it to, and now I have to change it. There are ways that you can design them so that you remember what they are and that you can still change them, and that will go a long way toward allowing you to, one, remember, but also, two, to be able to change it frequently so that if somebody gets a hold of your password, it's of limited use to them. Also, for those of you that might have access to double authentication, whereby you can have to authenticate twice in order to have access. I'll give an example. We just got new computer system in our office, which is great, which ended up giving us all laptops that we get to carry around with us and have remote access. But I have a automatic lock on the computer that I have to unlock. So if somebody stole my computer, they wouldn't even be able to turn it on without having access. But if they had that access password that we have to use, then actually to enter the Attorney General's computer system, I have to have another password. And then that's fine as well. But if I am operating my computer remotely, so it's not hooked into my direct network in the office, in addition to having entered my username and password, I get a text message sent to my phone with a security number that I also have to enter into the computer system in order to gain access to the computer, to the Attorney General's network. So for those of you that have this dual authentication, it's a wonderful resource. If you have it available on your computer at home, or let's say you're going to use a laptop remotely and you frequently go to coffee shops and you use public internet access, dual authentication is very, very valuable so that nobody else can be entering your computer or your computer network. The internet is a great thing. It really is. We're using it all the time. It's on our phones now. It's on our laptops. We can have access anywhere, which some would say is not necessarily a good thing all the time, but it is. But we need to be very careful when we use it. We need to be a good consumer when we use it. If we do that, we will have a very good experience in our use of the internet, and we will stay protected. Thank you all for being here today. It's great to have you. Those of you who want to come and see us, we're down at Cornell Cooperative Extension, the second Thursday of every month. Come down, join us. We'd be glad to have you. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to contact my office, the New York State Attorney General's office. And since we're talking about internet itself, I'm not going to throw a number out there to you. I'm going to say, just go on the internet and Google my office, and you'll be able to find us very easily on the internet. Otherwise, thank you very much, and hope we will see you again next time. Thank you.